what's up you guys, it's me Luke and welcome back to another video, or if you're new here, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I post commentary and critique and reaction videos on basically anything on the internet that interests me, ranging from pop culture to internet culture and anything in between. So if any of that interests you, then be sure to go ahead and subscribe and turn on the post notifications bell so that you never miss another upload from me. Alrighty guys, so today's video is about the Dolan Twins, two people who I don't think I've ever spoken about on my channel, at least in a dedicated full video. So the Dolan Twins recently came out with a podcast titled Moving On from YouTube, where they discuss that they are going to be quitting YouTube. Now, I'm not going to get too much into like the pedantics of the podcast, because really what I want this whole video to be about is what the Dolan Twins quitting YouTube says about the platform. So without further ado, let's get into it, because I'm about to dive in to the mess. Let's get it. Alrighty, so like I said, the Dolan Twins have quit YouTube and they're just going to be performing on their podcast. That's pretty much going to be like their main platform, where they are just going to be discussing various topics. I don't really know. This is the first podcast of theirs that I've actually listened to, and I listened to the whole thing. And basically the reason that they're quitting YouTube, they say, is because they've lost passion for it. They've been doing it for almost 7 years now, and they just feel like it's no longer a passion project. It just feels like work. They basically don't want to do it anymore. I mean, there was a lot of other pedantic reasons, but that's kind of the gist of it. But there is a lot of speculation in the social media sphere as to whether or not the Dolan Twins are quitting YouTube because their views are a lot lower than normal. And the Dolan Twins in their podcast did speak about being a slave to the algorithm and how, you know, they would miss out on family events because they were so focused on uploading every Tuesday. You know, it is a job at the end of the day. Like, YouTube is their job. Like, look, I don't want to be too judgmental, but to me it sounded just like a little bit ridiculous, because here's the thing, right? The Dolan Twins don't edit their videos, and they have a team of people who help them come up with ideas. So really all they need to do is film their videos and come up with the ideas, which could take, like, let's say 1 day tops coming up with ideas, and then another day to film the video. Usually I would say it would only take like 1 day to film their type of videos, maybe a bit longer, but really all they're doing is filming the videos. I'm sure they have plenty of time off. They have so much money and they have such a big team to help them. So to me, it sounded a little bit like they were just complaining about working, and I'm not entirely sure what type of career force they're going to go into next. That's kind of up to them, but they do have their podcast, which they're going to be doing. And let me just say that one podcast episode had like 4 or 5 different ad reads in, so I don't think money is going to be an issue for them. And since they've been doing YouTube for 7 years, I'm sure they have tons of money in the bank. But really, that's not what this video is about. I don't want to make it all about why the Dolan Twins quit, because really, that's not really what I care about. I'm not even particularly a fan of them. I don't even necessarily watch their content, although my heart does go out to those of you who do, because obviously it's very upsetting when a YouTuber that you like decides to quit. I mean, we all felt this when Jenna Marbles decided to leave. May her soul rest in peace. I don't know why I'm saying that. She's not dead. Just her channel is, but you know, it's still sad. But really, I wanted to speak about YouTubers quitting. I mean, not tons of YouTubers have quit yet, but we're seeing a lot of YouTubers kind of get really burnt out or just not upload as much onto the platform. I mean, Tati has disappeared. Jenna Marbles no longer posts. Tana Mojo barely posts on YouTube. Not that I'm complaining about that. And now the Dolan Twins are quitting. And we've even heard Emma Chamberlain discuss in her podcast how she was feeling really burnt out in certain times and was really frustrated creatively. And even me as a YouTuber, I understand that there are a lot of pros to their jobs and a lot of cons. Obviously, I am not on the same scale as a lot of these people, so I can't speak to what it's like to, for example, be paparazzi'd or be followed or to have your address leaked, because none of those things have ever happened to me before. But I can still understand the pros and cons of what it is like being a YouTuber. So like, you know, let's get into those. If we're going to speak about the pros, you're self-employed, so you get to work for yourself and you're your own boss. You create your own schedule. You have full creative freedom to upload pretty much whatever you want, you know, par what's going to do well for the YouTube algorithm and what fits in your niche. So there are a lot of pros to this job, and I'm super grateful for being a YouTuber. It's honestly a blessing, and I'm grateful for you guys, and I'm grateful for this job every single day. But there are also some cons, you know, cons for those bigger YouTubers if they don't like it. Like the Dolan Twins seem not to like it, because they're speaking about wanting to move back to New Jersey, possibly living on a farm, all that type of stuff. Maybe they don't enjoy being paparazzi'd and followed and stopped. Maybe they don't enjoy the fame side of things. Now, I don't really get stopped that often, especially living in, you know, Australia. But when it does happen, I'm super grateful for it. But I think it's because I don't have it on an overwhelming sense. I could understand and see where they're coming from to the point where it could be very overwhelming. And then when it comes to like coming up with ideas, I personally understand that it can be really exhausting trying to come up with new video ideas all the time. You know, with me, I at least get to make videos about kind of what's going on topically, but with them, they kind of have to come up with fresh new ideas every single week, and I can only imagine how exhausting that would have to be creatively. And that's the thing, is I've been speaking to a YouTube friend of mine about how it's so difficult to be put on a schedule when you are a creative person, because creativity doesn't work on a schedule. Now, I just wanted to reiterate that I'm still super grateful for this job, but we're just talking about the few cons that there are. But obviously the pros do outweigh the cons most of the time. For me, it's really just the lack of ideas, because it's exhausting to constantly have to come up with ideas. Like once you finish one video, you're kind of like, alrighty, let's go on to the next. It's like doing an assignment at school and then just moving on straight to the next one. I mean, obviously it's different because you get paid to do it and it's a lot more fun than doing an assignment. But there are times where it can become taxing and it can become stressful because you want it to be a hobby and you want it to be fun and you want it to be creative. But at the end of the day, it's also your job and it's what you use to pay your bills. Now, obviously my bills and my situation is very different to the Dolan Twins because I live a much more low-key lifestyle and I don't make anywhere near as much money as them. But I think there's something to be said about lifestyle inflation and how much you spend on your lifestyle. So who knows, they may have their own stresses as well. But clearly, you know, they were feeling some type of way about their YouTube channel if they were going to quit, because their YouTube channel probably, even though it doesn't get as many views as it used to, would be making them a lot of money. It's a big deal to quit YouTube and say goodbye to such a big source of income. So they truly must have been feeling some type of way about it. But the reason I wanted to make this video is because I wanted to discuss those pros and those cons and just really discuss, you know, what is going to be the future of YouTube, because we have all these different phases of YouTube or these different YouTube generations, and we see these YouTubers come and go. Like we had the Tyler Oakleys and Connor Frantis and stuff. Even Tyler Oakley recently came out and said he's taking a break from YouTube, and those YouTubers don't get as high views as they used to, but they, you know, they're still on the platform, but some of them have actually left the platform. And they've left the platform to do other bigger and better things. But I think there's something to be said about YouTube and the longevity of what that is. Like even me, I've been on YouTube now for 3 years, I believe. And I'm already like, okay, like what's gonna be my next job? Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not quitting YouTube anytime soon. I love YouTube, I love what I do, and I'm very grateful. But I even get to the point where I'm like, okay, what's gonna be the next thing? Because I know this just isn't realistically going to last forever. So I think there's something to be said about the longevity of YouTube and also YouTube changing their algorithms. And the Dolan Twins did speak about how they were disappointed when they would make a video and it didn't reach the amount of people that they wanted it to. I do understand this to a certain degree, because sometimes I'll make videos that I'm very proud of and they won't reach the same amount of people that I was expecting them to or that I was hoping them to. But then at the end of the day, you are not entitled to views. And I think there is something to be said about whether or not people are interested in the topic or whether or not it's the algorithm. And that's the thing, is you don't know at the end of the day, because you don't get to see the true span of that. I mean, yes, we get to see our YouTube analytics, but we don't get to see who's actually seeing our video and who's actually getting to click on them to a certain degree, and what's actually the algorithm. Because I've heard from a lot of people that they're subscribed to me and my videos won't even show up in their subscription box, and I'm subscribed to people and their videos won't even show up in my subscription box. So the YouTube algorithm is very, very confusing, and it's fickle and it's constantly changing, and it's difficult to keep up with. So I do understand where the Dolan Twins are coming from to a certain degree, and I just wonder what's going to happen with the future of YouTube, what's going to happen with the future of my YouTube, what's going to happen to the future of all these other YouTubers. You know, a lot of these people, like the Dolan Twins even discussed, have an 8th grade education. Like the Dolan Twins left high school in 8th grade, and now once their podcast fizzles out, it's like, what are they going to do then? And then there's other people who drop out of high school or they don't go to college. Not that you need to go to college, but I feel like there's a lot of people who aren't setting up a future for themselves beyond YouTube. They're just expecting that YouTube is just going to last this whole time. And that's why, you know, me personally, I did take a year off YouTube. Mainly it was because I did not want to get involved in Zoom University. And I have a whole podcast episode about that if you want to listen to why I'm going back to university. But the gist of it is to study business and set up a future for myself beyond YouTube, because I think that that is very important. Because at the end of the day, in my opinion, and factually, even based on the evidence that we see, YouTube is fleeting. I mean, there are very few YouTubers who have withstanded the test of time. One of the few was Shane Dawson, and he just got cancelled. So I think it just goes to show, either you get cancelled because you're problematic or you just completely fizzle out. And I feel like it's inevitable, and YouTubers all need to think about this. And I just think it's important to think about. Basically, I mean, that's not really like a grandiose conclusion that I'm coming to with this video. I just wanted to have an open discussion with you guys about what the Dolan Twins quitting YouTube means for the platform, and what the platform really is like when it comes to its creators and the longevity of their careers. So if you guys found this video interesting, please give it a thumbs up and comment down below your thoughts, because I would love to know. I'm very interested in having a discussion about YouTube and the longevity of it and all that type of stuff. And if you've not already, please make sure that you subscribe and turn on the post notifications bell so that you never miss another upload from me. If you would like to follow me, all my social media is linked down below, as well as the link to my merch, my second channel, my podcast, and my Cameo if you would like to book a video from me. And yeah, guys, that's it for me in this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope to see you in my next one. And as always, I hope that you have a great day or night wherever you're in the world. Bye!